Welcome back to Apple Tree Teachings. This is part two of errors in dating and relationships. If you have not seen my previous video on loving gifts you receive on conception, please refer to that video first. It will give you a better idea of all the videos to follow that particular video. And please subscribe because you will get, and also put the alert on so you would get the next video hopefully in another couple of weeks. I was thinking of doing a video every day, but then I thought every week. But it looks as though that it's more favorable to do a video every couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. These videos are lifetime videos to keep. And what I'm producing is basically discoveries. Most people will go through life not understanding that if you don't look at the discoveries around you, you're not actually progressing at all. You're actually living in a lot of addictions. What do you do with a discovery? You can only do two things with a discovery. You can ignore what you've discovered and watch how much pain comes into your life because you're not putting into practice what you've discovered. Or you could break the cycle in your life and start applying what you've learned. And once you start applying, you would see the benefits that roots from your discovery. What I'm talking to you today about is the errors in dating a relationship. This is part two, and these are discoveries. I've noticed these discoveries from a very young child, and I've been a driver most of my life. When I was in my late teens, when I first got my first car, and ever since then I've been driving people around. So I didn't kick the habit of alcohol at all, because when you're driving you cannot drink. So that's one of the good things that came out of my life. And although socializing, when you socialize, you tend to drink. Well, because I'm driving, I always ordered a Coke because I used to drive my friends to and from clubs or just going to cafes and restaurants, and I wouldn't bother with the alcohol at all. I know what happens when you drink, and I don't want to do that to myself at all. So that's a discovery. But anyways, when you think about it, when people start to date, they're thinking about someone. So they see someone and immediately a thought comes to them. Usually the physical outlook starts to hit them very, very quickly, and they say, oh, I want to get to know that person. Well, thoughts are directional in nature. A thought will hit its target 100%. When you think about it, as soon as you start to think and have a thought, what exactly is happening to you? Where does the thought come from? Where does it go? Well, it has to come from somewhere, and it has to go somewhere. Think of a telephone itself. In a telephone, what happens? You dial a number, and then the signal, the binary signal, goes into the air, and it connects with the party that you're looking for. When you think about that, the signal itself will hit its target 100% of the times. A thought is like that. When someone is thinking about you, the thought from their head has to go somewhere. I mean, think about back in high school, or back when you started working, or you're going out to a cafe and you're looking at someone and they're looking at you. You receive a thought. So when you receive a thought, what happens? When you receive a thought, that you can feel something. Either the person likes you, you're scared, or basically you're trying to figure out what that person is all about, because something is happening into you. Now, when you take a look at all what's happening in nature, there are signals flying all the time, and these signals are actually coming into you. It's almost like a Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi comes into you and it hits you, and it bounces off of you. If you're not the target, you wouldn't even feel it at all. So when you're thinking of someone, or just say you're dating, and you're texting someone. So a girl texting a guy, and the text is received by the guy. So the guy receives the text, and he says, "Oh, it's her again," or "I don't want to call her," and I leave the text. Well, on the girl's side, at times she wonders, if the thought comes into your head, like, why isn't he calling me back? Or what's up with him? Or you know what? He's fooling around with me. He's bugging my mind. You see, love cannot produce an unloving effect, an unloving thought. If you're in love with someone, it can only produce a loving thought, a loving event. If you're receiving a thought that is not loving, well, then it's not loving. It's impossible that that person actually loves you if you're receiving an unloving thought. Now, that's just a very basic example. I'm not even going to get into it to extrapolate and expand on that, because these videos are not meant to go in depth right now. Later on, maybe a few months or even next year, I'll go in depth with each one of these videos that I'm producing. These videos are meant to tickle your brain and to start making you understand there's something wrong with your life in the way you think itself. So while I'm producing these videos, you have to basically understand, what's happening with yourself. The other thing is that when you're trying to look at loving yourself, you can look at it from many different angles. There are billions and billions of recipes on the planet. When you take a look at it, most people in different cultures, they always cook the same type of food within their culture, within the family. The same 3 to 5 different foods that they have. And you would learn these, how to cook from your parents, mostly the mother in most countries. Now, how many times do you see your parents sitting in front of a cooking network, a cooking channel, and they're always saying, "Oh, that looks so good," and they get other family members involved and say, "Look at this, look at this," and they never cook it? What's the point in sitting in front of that channel, to the TV, and you never cook it? What did you get out of that? What happens if you actually cook it? You can only give someone something that you have, not something that you don't have. So if you're able to cook that food once or twice, what happens is that you have that. And when you have that, you're able to give it to someone else. You can only give what you have. If you didn't know how to cook it, well, then you can't give it. How can you give someone something you don't have? If you don't have that love inside you, how can you give it? Okay? If your child comes up to you, if you made a dish and your child comes up to you and says, "Dad, that Portuguese stew fish was amazing. Dad, that Brazilian rice that you made, how did you make it? It tasted so good." You see, your children are giving you a compliment. That's love coming into you. And what you've done was you've actually given love out to your child. You can only give what you have. If you didn't know how to cook that, how can you give it? One of the things that, if you look at time itself, and throughout the history of time, food has always been the way to improve people's lives. It improves communication. It has a social activity. When you start to cook and you invite people over, it brings out a conversation. But it's very loving. It's very loving to know that someone enjoys your food, and you can actually talk about it, and you can actually explain it. So when your child says, "Dad, how did you make it?" Next time say, "You know what? When I'm cooking it, the next time I cook it, why don't you help me with it, and I'll show you." Your child will probably say, "Sure, no problem." Children only want to learn. They don't just want toys. They want to learn, and you've got to understand that. So if you keep cooking different dishes, try to go outside your culture itself. Like I said, there are billions and billions of recipes on the planet. You know, when you take a look at it from Hungary to the Caribbean, to Asia, to Ukraine and Russian food, and Indian food, Chinese food. There's foods all over the planet. What you need to do is understand, you know, cook different foods. I'm just waiting for these people to go by because they're talking right now, and I didn't want it to interrupt what I'm saying. It's a very nice day in nature, and you know what? I'm just standing behind a ravine here, and I just put my phone up on a tree trunk, and I'm just capturing a video right now. You know, one of the other things you have to look at in dating relationships: how many times does parents want to set you up on a date all over the world, especially with those countries where you have arranged marriages? Think about it. Really think about this. If you understood my other videos and I told you that you're not born with love, and if you don't discover how to love yourself, then you cannot give something you don't have, and you can't give that love if you don't have it. So if parents are not born with love and they don't discover to love themselves, which usually is the case, how could they arrange a relationship for you? How could they make that arrangement? If there's no love inside of them, then how are they making that effort to find someone that could love you if love is not inside of them? Okay, do you remember what I told you on one of my videos? If you have a tile on the floor and you see a pattern, on that pattern you can probably see an elephant, a tree, and a pencil. If you don't know what an elephant is, can you see it? The answer is no. It's like me making up a word saying tipo. Can you find a tipo? You would say, what's a tipo? You don't know what a tipo is because it's not registered in the head. You've never seen it, never heard it. So if you don't know what an elephant is, how can you see it on your tile? It's impossible. The other thing is that you know you have to understand is that if you weren't born with love, and you never discovered to love yourself, how can you feel something you don't have? So parents that are arranging a marriage for their children, how could they arrange a marriage for a loving relationship when the parents themselves don't have love inside of them? You know, many parents bicker and argue in their relationship. Not most of them, mostly all parents do that. That's a sign that they're not in love with each other. At the very same time, you have to understand that someone that's unloving and don't know how to find the love is not coming into them, they cannot find love. They will find someone through their addictions. So they'll look at someone that's rich, someone that has a good job, someone that has dresses nice, but that's only from their addictions. When that person ends up, a child gets married through their parents' own addictions, they're going to start the cycle all over again. Because if the children actually looked at their parents, they would see the errors and feel the errors, unloving errors inside the parents. So how could the parents choose something loving? Another thing you have to look at is that when you're dating, you have to look at the person's parents. If you go over to your boyfriend or girlfriend's house, your partner's house, and you see your father always sitting on the couch, like a couch potato. Now, if your boyfriend, just say you're a girl and you're dating this guy, and you go over to your boyfriend's house, and the father is always sitting on the couch, and you realize, time after time, this is what he does. Through questions that you're asking, you realize this is what he does. He comes home, he kicks his shoes off, he leaves his coat or jacket or whatever he has in a place that's inappropriate, and he just comes in and sits and waits for food, waits for his dinner or lunch or whatever it is. You start realizing that if this person has done this in their relationship, throughout the relationship, and say your boyfriend is anywhere from 18, 20, 25, or even 30 years old, you're living at home and you're 30 years old. Yeah, that's kind of old, but it's happening. Something has to come to you to realize that if your boyfriend has witnessed this for 15, 20, 25 years, there's nothing wrong with his hardware, there's something wrong with his software. He's programmed to only understand that. So if that's all he understands, if you were to get married to this person, what do you think is going to happen? If his parents, if this person that you're dating, has witnessed for 20, 15, 20, 25 years his father being lazy, well then, what are the chances of your boyfriend being lazy after the dating part is finished? There's a tremendous chance that he will be just like his parents because he doesn't know anything else. If he's never put love inside himself, well then how is he going to change? If he's not loving himself to change, well how will he change? If you notice your mother is always, just say that she's always bitter. She's always arguing. How many mothers always argue with their children? Because they tend to be the disciplined ones. Do your work, shower, eat your food, put this in the right place, make your bed, help me out, but always arguing, and the mother's voice sounds bitter. If you're a girl and you go over to your boyfriend's house and you realize, hey, the mother's voice is always sounding, sour or curt, then if your boyfriend has lived in that environment for 18, 20, 25 years, think about it. If the mother is like that and he's lived in the environment like that, what are the chances of him having that personality inside of him? But you have to look at how the father behaves. How does the father behave when the mother is feeling bitter? If he's toned down and he relaxes and he just doesn't care, then if you're attracted to this guy whose mother is like that and whose father just doesn't care and he's putting up with it, then look at yourself to see what you like in that relationship, because you could be the one that turns out to be very bitter on your boyfriend. Because you remember, your boyfriend is attracted to you for a particular reason. If he doesn't have love inside himself and he is not looking to improve himself, then he's attracted to certain personalities that he's lived with all his life. All his life. So if he's accepted his mother a certain way, then eventually he's going to find someone to be bitter with him, and he will accept that because that's all he knows. That's all he knows. So you also have to take a look at yourself as to what's wrong with you, not just your partner. If you're just examining your partner to see all what's wrong with him, then, and you're not examining yourself, well, how unloving is that? You yourself have issues that you have to examine, and you have to examine your parents as to what your parents are like, and as to what issues they're going through, and what you've copied for the last 15, 20, 25 years, or however, 30 years. You have to examine that and to determine that. I can open up a few hours, like 3-4 hours of conversation on just this one topic, but I'm just going to leave that topic alone, and we'll come back to it in the future. The other thing I want to talk about is that when you see mom always frustrated, you have to think about it. If mom is always frustrated, and you're looking at the person always being frustrated, think about it. If your boyfriend's mom is always frustrated, and you are seeing what happens in the household, it's tense. It doesn't feel loving at all, does it? If the household doesn't feel loving, look at the relationship that the mother has with the father. It's tense. As soon as you come into that home, it feels cold. Doesn't feel warm, doesn't feel welcoming. If your boyfriend has lived in that environment for so long, or your girlfriend has lived in that environment for so long, that's all they know. You've got to remember, I'm talking from the angle where you haven't discovered that you weren't born with love, and you haven't discovered that you have to love yourself. So if those two things are in play, which usually is, think about it. You're going into a relationship where there's always been stress and frustration. Say your boyfriend could be saying, you know what, I love you. He'll take you out for dinners, you'll go to the movies, you'll hold hands, you'll communicate with each other by phone or texting each other, social media, for hours upon hours. You'll buy each other things. And then you'll make a determination that you love that person, not take into account as to how that person grew up and what's in his mind. What's his personality like? You're looking at the physical outlook and what he's given to you in the dating part of the relationship. If you take a look at people that are older than yourself, much older, in their relationship, take a good look, from grandparents to parents to aunts and uncles to people that are in the working world, and you will see they're not happy. You're just next in line to fill that role. I'm trying to show you to open up your eyes and see the person you're dating, because it will change your life drastically. You will start filtering out the garbage that comes to you. As long as you want to change yourself. That's what I'm trying to show you. One major thing that people have not recognized is that love and anger cannot coexist at the same time. Love and anger cannot live inside of you at the same time. When you're angry, love is not coming out of you, only anger. When you're depressed, love is not coming out of you, only depression. When you're bitter, love is not coming out of you. Love cannot coexist at the same time that anger and rage exist. Cannot. It's impossible. Literally impossible. I think you understand what I'm saying. So the more unlovingness comes out of a person's mouth and thoughts, think about it. In a 24-hour day, some people can go the entire day, week, month, year, just being angry. How much love do you think is coming out of a person? If you look at 100% day, how much love do you think is coming out of a person? When you're driving in your car and someone cuts you off, your thoughts go, oh, I can't believe that person. Yeah, and all these negative thoughts coming out of you. That's unlovingness inside of you. That's anger. That's rage. That's unhappiness coming out inside of you. The more you can start acknowledging the emotions coming out of you, the more you will understand and to discover what I'm saying. You can start discovering how much unlovingness is inside of you by the way you respond to things around you. And that should give you an indication that there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with the way you think. There's something wrong with the way you feel. Because all these years that you've been growing, your parents have not poured love into you, but what they're doing is raising you. They can raise you on wealthy conditions, they can raise you on mediocre conditions, or they can raise you on poor conditions. It doesn't matter how they raise you, they're still not raising you with love. Remember I told you, a parent can give you food, and they can put clothes on you. They can give you a place with air conditioning and heat, with a roof over your head. They can give you birthday parties year after year. They can take you to the movies. They can take you on trips. Remember I told you that? Well, that's material things. That's not love. And the more you start looking, opening your eyes in the relationship that you are carrying, look at the person, how they were raised, you would start seeing obvious things. Just like you see obvious things in your personal life with your family, how you feel, the way you're treated, and the way you see your parents interact, why not take a look at their life and stop trying to trying to come up with a solution to benefit just yourself. And what I mean by that is that stop teaching yourself to love someone when the facts are in front of you. Stop teaching yourself to love someone. Start looking at the facts, because it's the facts that you're going to live with. The facts you are going to live with. Does that sound like a truth to you? If you're in the Pacific Ocean and you're on a sailboat with no sail, where are you going? I think I've mentioned this in another video, but wherever the current takes you, that's where you're going. Isn't that right? Current pulls you this way, that's where you're going. This way, that's where you're going. This way, that way, wherever the current takes you. But what happens when you exercise your will to control your own life? That sailboat will go in the direction that you want to go. And you have to know that. Doesn't matter how long it takes to get to land, it's still going in your direction. And you will hit land at some point. So that's why it's important for no one, not your parents, not a religion, to take away your own will, because your will is your will. It's no one else's. It doesn't belong to anyone else but you. I'm just waiting for these people to go by. They're on the bicycles and talking so I can hear them. I didn't want it to pick it up on the audio. Such a beautiful day. They're almost gone. I hope you have a chance to digest what I'm saying so far, because it's so important in life. It's things that you need to share with people that you care about, and just people in general that want to listen. Okay. What can someone do to you when love is not inside you? Think. What can someone do to you when love is not inside you? They can mess you up. They could totally mess you up. Take a look at your life. Where is it going? You know, you can have a great financial life. There are many people financially, they're okay. They're either wealthy, or you know what, they're well-to-do, or they're feeling good about their finances. That's not the problem. Even the people that are well-to-do have problems with their relationship. Look at all those movie stars. I think you understand. All over the world, look at all those people that are in the media, in the movies, actors and actresses. They're full with problems. Money is not the problem. Money is not the problem for these people. Matter of fact, if you take a look at pictures 10 years back from all these actresses and actors, you would see how they've aged drastically. Because when you are not loved, your body takes a toll. And when your body takes a toll, you will start ending up in a depression, popping pills, going to the hospital more frequently, because you've been degraded. Your body keeps getting degraded. Now, you know what, I'm going to end it here. I didn't want this to be too long, but there's so much to talk about. I'm just going to end it here. Let's just recap. Got to keep loving yourself. Cook. Learn to cook. Various different foods, different types of salads, different types of vegetables, different types. If meat is what you choose on eating, well, look at the different dishes. I can give you a hint. I love cooking from this guy called Chef John. If you take a look at his website, I think it's allspices.com, but if you type in Chef John, pasta, a lot of things comes up. Chef John barbecue, Chef John Caribbean food, Chef John Asian food, Chef John wonton soup. You will see many recipes. Beautiful. It doesn't take long to prepare these recipes, but once you start cooking, you will see a change in yourself. And then, one day you'll bring it to work and someone says to you, "What's that? It smells so good." And you start explaining it, and they start looking at you differently. When they start looking at you differently, they realize you're so domesticated. You know what? You have so much talent, and they want to get to know you for the right reasons, not for the addiction reasons. You're throwing love their way, and you're receiving it from them. But I'll leave it from there. I'm going to start looking at getting into videos on your physical body and your spirit body and your soul, what that means, and what you look like on the other side. Because remember, these are all discoveries. And once you start understanding the discoveries, you'll be amazed at how your life will change. Okay? Thank you for watching. And let me just take this phone off the tree here. I just want to show you the background, a beautiful, beautiful background. It's all nature. Beautiful. Love coming here. But for now, please subscribe if you have not done so already, and you'll get the next video soon. I really like producing these videos. I've helped thousands and thousands of people over the years, from a child till now. And some people, they forced me to start doing videos, and because they wanted to keep this for years to come. It's because the information is so valuable that they can't help but think that, their life needs a change. And the other thing is that you have to understand that once you start changing, people are going to recognize that. Jealousy will certainly come into other people because they start seeing that the change itself has improved your life and the way you think and the way you see other people. And, until next time, thank you for watching. Have a good one.